You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show with your hosts, the Fantasy Insider, Matt Brick, the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Doctor, Jeff Hathcock.
Welcome back to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I am Matt Brick, your host. I'm here with the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Doctor with no medical expertise, Jeff Hathcock. How are we, gentlemen?
Yeah, doing fantastic, guys. Very excited for another day here. Can't wait to talk some more football.
Hey, we have the best week of football drafts ahead of us, man. Best weekend coming up. I got a ton of drafts coming up. We have our big auction league Sunday. Very excited. This is the most exciting time of the year. Best day of the year, draft day.
All right, let's get right into the news. So a lot of news. I'm going to just go straight down. If we have anything to talk about, we can do that. But I just want to get it done because there's a lot today because it was, the cut roster day, 53 man. So Dillon Gabriel, he was named the quarterback 2. He's now behind Joe Flacco. Shedeur Sanders is quarterback 3. Najee Harris was activated off the NFI list. He had a firework incident July 4th weekend, and he was jogging on the sideline all of training camp. But he's now activated off the NFI list, so keep that in mind. Spencer Rattler was named the starter. So Shuck is not the starter. It is Spencer Rattler there with the Saints. Amari Cooper signed a 1-year deal with the Raiders. And Jacoby Myers requested a trade. Adam Schefter did say today on the Pat McAfee show that the Raiders do not want to trade him. So this is a money dispute. Keep that in mind. Trey Hendrickson did get a 1-year deal worth $30 million, so he did get paid. Terry McLaurin got an extension worth $96 million for 3 years. Congratulations to Terry. Stays in Washington. Brian Robinson Jr. was traded to the 49ers. Johnny Wilson is now out for the season with a knee and ankle injury. Devon Vele was traded to the Saints. Sky Moore was traded to the 49ers. Jalen Polk is out for the season with a shoulder injury. Micah Parsons still hasn't gotten a contract extension. Aiden O'Connell fractured his wrist. Will be out from 6 to 8 weeks. Vikings signed Carson Wentz and traded Sam Howell to the Eagles, and the Browns obviously released Tyler Huntley. Okay.
I think one big piece there,
guys, there, anything that was newsworthy that you like?
Kelsey is engaged to Swift.
Poor guy.
I kind of took over everything today, didn't it?
Poor fella. Crazy. Hey, you know what? Howie signing trading for Vele. What a great trade with Ben Wilson goes down. I mean, what foresight to do that.
I think it's John Mechie.
I'm sorry, John Mechie for the Eagles. Outstanding trade, as it turns out, with Wilson going down there. That really bolsters their receiving core. I think that's good stuff. That's right, Vele. That's right. Went to the Saints. I'm sorry, I was looking at my notes and I'm thinking.
But I mean, what a robbery to get Vele, who really didn't do much, you know, and they get a 4th and a 7th for him. That's a lot of value for a guy.
Yeah, he's also 27, so
yeah, he's 27 years old. It's crazy.
All right, let's get into value picks. I'll start it off. Why not? Let me look at my notes. These are value picks. These are guys that are being drafted at a good value, in our opinion. You might look at their ADP and say, you know what, I think they're going to outdo their ADP this year. So here we go. I have Xavier Legette. His average ADP is wide receiver 68, and he's going into the 14th round. He is the wide receiver 2 on this team, in my opinion. I know Adam Thielen is being shopped to the Vikings again, which is possible. So we'll keep that in mind. Yes, I know they have Ted McMillan, who I talked about last show, but I truly think that Leggett can outperform Ted McMillan and Adam Thielen if he is on this team. I'm still a believer in Bryce Young's talent. Hopefully, we see some progress for Young this season. I have Leggett projected as the wide receiver 34 on the year. This is a low-risk, high-reward pick. If it doesn't work out within the first 4 weeks, I'll admit it here on this show. I'll drop him. I'll pick someone else up. Next, I have Tank Bigsby. His average ADP is RB40, and he's going into the 11th round. I think he'll take over the starting role this season for sure. Last season, Etienne just did not work out, and I think Bigsby got a lot more of the workload. I know they have said they're going to do a committee, but I'm just not buying it right now. I just don't see it being an equally three-way workload between Bigsby, Etienne, and now Newton there in Jacksonville. I currently have Bigsby projected as RB32, and he will add depth to your roster. Tyler Warren is a player I'm very excited to see this season. Would love to know who's throwing him the ball. Well, I do know now. It's Daniel Jones. I read this was before the news broke out. My apologies. I do think it would have been more interesting to have Richardson for Warren because I feel like he does tend to target the tight end more. But I still think that regardless, he's going to have a great season. His current ADP is in the 10th round. He's being drafted as a tight end 11. Now, a while back, tight ends were never hitting for rookies. But if you look back in recent years, you have Sam Laporta and Brock Bowers. So it seems to have worked in recent time. So I'm a big fan of Tyler Warren, and I have him ranked as tight end 7 in my projections this year. Anyone want to follow that up?
I mean, I don't mind going, but just to cap on what you said, Matt, I love Tyler Warren, especially when I'm looking to pound those wide receivers and running backs early, and I'm avoiding, the Brock Bowers in the second, the Trey McBride in the third, and even the Kittle in the fourth or the fifth. I love Tyler Warren. I think he's a smash pick. I think he's going to see the ball a lot. And another thing Daniel Jones doesn't do, he doesn't throw the ball very far. So Tyler Warren's, he's going to eat up all those targets in the middle of the field. I think it's a great pick. I do love Tank Bigsby too. I think he's definitely got a place in that team. He's going to have a role for sure. Xavier Leggett, we'll see what happens. But yeah, a guy that I'm looking at right now is Jordan Love. He was one of only 4 quarterbacks to rank in the top 6 in both vertical and stretch vertical fantasy point per game last season, and that's on top of dealing with the injuries to his knee and his groin. He can play through the pain, which I love. He could also improve those long passing numbers, with the addition of Matthew Golden. Hopefully he hits the ground running. And then speaking of running, last year he was hurt and he ranked 27th in the QB running points per game. But with those injuries, especially with the groin, it's going to be tough to run. There's many reasons to think he's just going to run more this year, including with the offensive coordinator. Adam Stenavich has answered the question, would you like to see Love run more this season? And it was just a resounding yes. I mean, for me, if he runs more, he improves at his number 16 rank in short points per game, which is a huge drop off from his number 5 ranking back in 2023. I think he's got a lot of upside, and you're getting him in the 11th and 12th round. I think that's a smash. I think he's definitely going to outplay that ADP. And then I'm going back to back with quarterbacks here. Drake May is a guy I'm super high on. I am trying to pick him up in every league, whether it's dynasty, redraft, auction, you name it. I'm trying to get a hold of him. Listen, the team wasn't very good last year. They stunk, and he still managed to average 16.8 fantasy points per game in his 11 rookie games that he played. I could sit here and argue that he dealt with the NFL's worst offensive line and the worst skill position corps, for the entire league. And the unit's not incredible, but it's definitely better than it was last year. They've vastly improved. They've added Stephon Diggs in free agency. They've got Travion Henderson, who's also going to help, bolster the pass protection. They've got Kyle Williams, who I spoke up last week in the draft. They also used their number 4 overall pick, left tackle Will Campbell, the number 69 overall pick on a center guard Jared Wilson. They added players in free agency like Morgan Moses and Garrett Bradbury. I think Drake May is going to have an incredible season. As long as they stay healthy, with that new coaching staff, I think he's going to be a smash pick. And then, we brought up Devon Bailey before in the news. Cortland Sutton is the guy for me. He's just consistent, and he reminded us why Denver is consolidating everything around him. He ran a route on 100% of his dropbacks with Bo Nix and commanded a massive 15% target share with 7 targets in just 3 drives last year. Marvin Mims is getting more active. Troy Flankins is seeing some rotation with Pat Bryant. But the passing game is clearly built around Sutton. The advanced profile metrics, he's at 43% air yard share, which is ranked 5th in the league last season, 26 deep targets, and 22 red zone looks, despite being drafted at the wide receiver 29. I think Sutton's a smash. I'd be comfortable with him as my wide receiver 1 if I was trying to go heavy running back in drafts. He's just, he's got a great system around him, and I'm really excited to see what Sutton does this year for sure.
I'll tell you, Jeff, we share a similar mind when it comes to quarterback. I also have one quarterback by the name of Jordan Love. I think he's very – matter of fact, we were looking at – me and Matt were looking late. I think I'm in 23 drafts done so far. Jordan Love is going as late as the 12th round in the league. So, it's funny. I listen to a lot of different shows, a lot of different podcasts on fantasy, and you hear all these hosts say, wait on the quarterback. Jordan Love in the 12th round, yeah, that's the reason why you wait on the quarterback, because that's a great pick in the 12th round. The funny thing is, on a sidebar, I've also listened to host league drafts, and they're all taking quarterbacks early. So they say one thing and do another. I think that's hysterical. But here on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Show, we practice what we preach. What we give you is the right stuff so you can win your league, okay? Staying with the Packers, Jalen Reed, because of the injury, I think is a great value pick. Well, he could be your 4th or 5th receiver on your team. And I know my colleagues here may argue with me, but before the hamstring injury last year, he was crushing it last year. So I think he comes back very strong this year. I like him as my 4th or 5th receiver, because if he turns it on, you got potentially a 1 or a 2 on your team. Even with Matthew Golden. Remember, Golden is still a rookie, right? Reed has some experience under his belt. Now, I have some notes here from last week, and I still have to read it, even though because of the trade of Brian Robinson to the 49ers. The note I had was about Isaac Guerendo. He was amazing last year. He ranked 7th in explosive run percentages and caught 14 out of 15 targets last year. And let's face it, McCaffrey, his chances of playing a full season, man, I don't know. Ton of upside with this guy, because if he's healthy and with the schedule the 49ers have, seems he could be amazing. But I think the obvious handcuff here is going to have to be Brian Robinson, which, again, is a great value pick. You can get him late, counting on CMC probably, getting injured during the year.
All right, and keep in mind that it's Jaden Reed, not Jalen Reed. If you want Jalen Reed, get off the show and do not draft him at all. He's not a real person, not a real player. Jaden Reed. Okay, let's get into our Dynasty Sell High, Buy Low candidates. I will start it off for everyone. Let's see. Okay, so everyone and their mother is talking about Bill Merritt, a.k.a. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I have him as the buy low. I'm not. I think I'm not as much as I think that he's being way too overhyped right now. I do think he is I did like him coming out of this draft. I do think he has talent for sure. I do think that he has Eckler and Chris Rodriguez in front of him, so keep that in mind. I would maybe trade like a 4th-round pick for him. That's the most I'd do it right now. But everyone's talking about Brian Robinson being traded. Now it's the 7th rounder. So there's a lot of hype, and he's going way over. Like his ADP is ridiculous right now. But I think he's someone definitely I would trade a 4th for if you really want to go get him. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely something you want to keep your eye on for sure during the season. So that's my buy low. Sell high. I think it's definitely time to talk about Chris Olave. He just hasn't gotten it done, unfortunately. He's gotten hurt and just hasn't met his expectations. He still is a player people want, but it's really every year I always hear the term name fatigue, and I think that's what's kind of happening with Chris Olave this year. I think we all get it. The Saints are going to be terrible this season, so keep that in mind. But I still think there are some truthers out there for Chris Olave that will still pay for him. I think this is probably a good time to do that. We're not quite sure how bad the Saints are going to be. I know they just named Rattler Rattler the starter, so it's not going to be pretty in New Orleans. But I still think you can get a good deal on Chris Olave. So, Henry, why don't you give us your sell high, buy lows?
You got it. Okay, so here you go. My buy low. Write this down, Jeff. You're going to need help this year, I can tell. Big trip. Tony Pollard. Okay. Big buy low candidate right now. There's an injury to Tajay Spears coming into the season, although I'm hearing he's going to be okay for week 1. Tony Pollard is an absolute workhorse. In all the leagues I've been drafting him, I've been able to pick him up as my 3rd running back. He's a strong 3rd running back for you, for sure. And in Dynasty, guess what? Everybody wants the younger guy. They all want Tajay Spears, okay? So Pollard, guess what? He's going to put up a dynamite year for you if you want to put together a winning season on your Dynasty league, okay? I already talked about Jordan Love and Jaden Reed, okay? Great buy low candidates also due to the injuries, okay? But my sell high candidate is going to probably surprise you. Saquon Barkley. Love him. I do bleed green. I'm a huge Eagles fan, but he's coming off a huge season, right? A ton of touches. Regression is in the cards for sure. Also, I have to mention it again, the Madden cover. He's on it. Chances of getting hurt are high. Right now, you could probably trade him in your dynasty for a 1 and a stud running back, and maybe even a receiver. I'd get whatever you can for him right now, especially if your team is not a winning team, and you're trying to get that team to another level. You could trade him in and get your team put back together. That would be my recommendation on a sell high.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Saquon pick. The metrics show when you've had the kind of workload he's had, Henry, it's usually not a good look. I'll stray away from the Madden curse. It is what it is. But I'm fading Saquon too. It's crazy to say, but I think because of the amount of volume he had during the regular season on top of the playoffs, it was something like over 500 touches, which is a heck of a lot, even for someone as good as Saquon is. So I'm definitely tilling on that end, and I love the Pollard pick. I think that's a great pick. I'm trying to pick Pollard up where I can because I think the Titans are going to be a little bit better than people think they are. I mean, they have a very tough schedule, but especially with Tajay Spears, if he's not going to be 100% healthy with this injury, Pollard outplayed him last year, and I think the same could happen this year for sure. But a guy I'm fading right now is Zay Flowers. He's settled in as he's a consistent wide receiver 3 for your fantasy teams. I don't see that changing in 2025, especially with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, just adding another mouth to feed in the offense. Over the last 2 seasons, he's been the wide receiver 31 and wide receiver 32 in fantasy points per game. He's outplayed expectation as he was the wide receiver 38 and 33 in expected fantasy points per game in each of those seasons. The last year, among 85 qualifying receivers, he's ranked 14 in target share, 27th in receiving yards, 17th in yards per route run, 18th in first read share, and 20th in first downs per route run. With the addition of Hopkins and an impending bounce back season for, I think, Mark Andrews, I think he's going to have another great season. I just don't see him leaping into that wide receiver 2 territory this year. And it could see regression into low end wide receiver 3 territory. So for me, I'm out on Zay. I think he's good, but when you're averaging 7 targets per game and 4 touchdowns a season, to me, it's just something I'm not looking for, especially in those middle rounds. I'm looking for someone who really has some upside, who could get into that top 20 and really help my team. So I'm off on Zay. But a guy I'm really high on, and he's been a lot of these an offseason darling for a lot of people. It's Josh Downs. A lot of analysts are above consensus on him. I am as well. For just the perspective, you got your good. He's top 5 in targets per route run last year, which is insane if you think about it. He's got a 26% target share. He's top 20 in yards per route run. He's a high-end first read target. He was the wide receiver 8 through weeks 4 through 11 last year. And he had the same points per game with Richardson and then not with Richardson. So I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be a negative for him. He's an elite separator versus man zone and press coverage. Now the bad, he's not perfect. He's got a smaller frame, and historically these players don't sustain production. He's only saw the field 5% of the time over the last 2 years in 2 wide receiver sets. So, he's slot only. It's a crowded wide receiver room, and they just invested in a huge tight end, which we brought up before. And the QB situation's murky. I mean, listen, I'm as a Giants fan, I've seen Daniel Jones more times than I care to. He's not the answer over there in Colts country. I don't think Anthony Richardson either, but I do believe in the player Josh Downs, and I think for where he's currently going, I think on Keep Trade Cut he's ranked like wide receiver 37, and you could swap him for assets like Ayuk, who's probably not going to be playing until later in the year, Judy, who's in a silly situation himself, Tyreek Hill, who I'm out on this year, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, who I've gone on the record. I don't think Joe Mixon's going to play a single down this year. That's just like the range of play he's going on there. And if I can get Josh Downs, especially in like a dynasty team, I think he's in for a really nice season. So yeah, that's who I'm betting on for a buy low right now.
Man, Josh Downs is a great pick, Jeff. Daniel Jones there, I think, only enhances his numbers, man. That's great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Zay Flowers is not a good touchdown producer, so I totally agree. He's not. He just hasn't. It's a shame because I feel like coming out of college, he was definitely someone everyone was really hyped about, but it just hasn't worked out so far. All right, let's talk about draft strategies, but before that, you are listening to us on Cruising 92.1 WVLT Vineland. All right, draft strategies now. Henry, you have some questions for us.
I do.
Right.
We actually have questions from fellas that we play with in some of our leagues. So I think this should help people with their drafts. So I'm going to pose these questions to both of you, and let's see what we come up with to help people out. Okay. First one's a great question. You're in a 12-man league. It's a PPR. You have the 5th overall pick. Off the board is Chase, Bijan, Barkley, and Gibbs. Who are you taking at the 5 spot? Matt?
I would probably lean towards taking Justin Jefferson because that's probably at ADP. As much as I'm not as high on Jefferson this season, I think you kind of have to go with the talent there because he's definitely one of the best. At running back, I'm not quite sure. You said Bijan and Gibbs are
Bijan,
gone?
Barkley, and Gibbs are gone.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I would consider maybe Chase Brown. He's pretty good. I like him. I'd have to think. I'll look at my Jeff. You
What about
answer.
Genty? What do you think? What do you think, Jeff?
Genty, I would not. I would not take Genty there. I think
Wow.
Yeah.
I have him. I have him low. Listen, I, as much as we all believe, I think the fantasy community has all agreed that they're going to run the ball, right?
Yeah, they have to.
So right, and exactly. Now, I don't know what it is. I just think that as much as I think I have him at like a top, I definitely have him top 10, but are we going to be right? Like I just don't know. As much as like their offensive line, don't love it, but I'm sure he'll ball out. But I'm a little nervous taking Genty is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Especially in the first round.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah.
How about you? Who would you take?
So I just getting real quick on Genty. Right now he's going at probably like the 9-10 in drafts right now. I do not think kind of like Marvin Harrison last year. He was going at the tail end of the first round, and he basically needed to have the best rookie wide receiver season of all time to have that kind of ADP. I do not think. Again, he's a great player. He fits all the metrics. He's going to do, but that team, like, I don't think people remember, but Josh Jacobs, who had an incredible season last year, went on an awesome run. He was on this same Raiders team, and he struggled. Like, he was on the struggle bus. He did not look good. People were writing him off. And then, situations changed. He goes to a great team with a great offensive line, a good offensive head coach. And, he looks, again, like a great running back. I just don't think Genty is going to pull off the ADP that he's at currently. But if it was me, Henry, and I had these guys off the board, I'm gonna slam dunk and just say CeeDee Lamb. I have him. I have Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb as my 1-2 this year. I do have Justin Jefferson as number 3, but there's a lot on the table right now with Justin Jefferson. Like, he's got a brand new. He's not a rookie, but JJ McCarthy hasn't played a single down. Yes, like, sure, Kevin O'Connell. He's a great coach. He's probably going to get this team firing all cylinders. But as good as Justin Jefferson is, if JJ McCarthy struggles, like, Justin Jefferson is going to be that benefactor where it's going to affect him. I mean, he was still the wide receiver 2 last year with Darnold. But Darnold's a veteran. He's been a professional for some time. You're asking a lot of JJ to just go in here and make sure he peppers Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb. If I have to be that pick at pick 5, I'm going with CeeDee Lamb. When Dak has played a healthy season, a lot of people forget, but those two guys, Dak and CeeDee, they were winning leagues 2 years ago when they were going on that incredible run. I know people are looking at their schedule right now, and it's not that hard, but they're going to have no run game. They have zero defense. They are going to have to be in shootouts to try to win and compete in these games. And I'm looking to target CeeDee Lamb if I can get him. I'm looking to target Dak later in the rounds too. And I'm actually looking at George Pickens in the 5th and 6th round. I want to be a part. I want some part of this Dallas offense. Even Jake Ferguson, if you really are, you're struggling, you miss out on those other 3 guys. I just feel like having a part of that Dallas offense is going to be really, really big this year. But yeah, I would go CD in the 5th. But again, for me, if I don't get Jamar Chase, Bijan, I'm definitely trying to get a Saquon, a Gibbs, even Christian McCaffrey. They've got an incredibly easy schedule. I think Christian McCaffrey can definitely be in that conversation still, even though he's going right now on ADP. It looks like the end of the first round, or early second in some spots, but. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely go with CD. How about you, Henry?
I'm going to me. I would probably go Derrick Henry. I'm a big running back guy. I like him better than Genty because he's a proven commodity. He's on the team where he's going to run the ball and beast mode out. So that's probably where I'd go. But having said that, Justin Jefferson's in there too. I've never had the opportunity to have him.
It feels kind of good.
Right. So it's a great position to be in. And I want to thank Bruce Summershoe for that question. That was a great question, Bruce. Thank you. Keep them coming in. This is a question from a Chris Patron. Who do you guys like more, Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason?
I'll start off here. It's Jordan Mason by a long shot. Listen, I had them a lot closer as of recent, and then I think I just realized how, I don't know. I think Aaron Jones, he's older for one thing, and I don't know. I think Mason's decent. Like, I think he's a decent back. So I would definitely go Mason, because I think he has a better. I don't even. I'll look up their ADPs, but I think he has a better ADP than Jones. So I'd go with Mason.
Yeah,
All
I definitely think I'm pretty sure their ADPs are quite close. Actually, I've seen some drafts where they actually go like one after the other, which is kind of telling. But Kevin O'Connell he's come out and said they feel like they have one of the best combinations of a 1A 1B running back. But they've also come out and said that Jordan Mason's going to be having that goal line work. And even if you're in PPR leagues, I understand. Aaron Jones, he's been a staple. But this guy's another year older. Jordan Mason, he had great metrics last year, and he's going to be running behind a great offensive line. Like, the Vikings know how to run the ball. They want the short yardage game to work. And if they get on that goal line, I think Mason's definitely going to see himself as a tremendous value upside pick this year, because I think he's going to get a lot of the work. And just the way he runs very hard. And I think he's going to, he could definitely get into a position where he scores 10-plus touchdowns this year just because he's getting that goal line work.
All right, great stuff, guys. Here's one from Greg P. He says, what's a better draft strategy? Go big on wide receiver or running back, or do you go with a balanced attack? This is a great question because, I do listen to a lot of fantasy, podcasts, and it seems to me, generally speaking, that a lot of these hosts are pushing the wide receiver go strong narrative. I personally don't agree with that, because think about it. You got 32 teams, you got 64 wide receivers, you have 32 running backs, but a lot of them are in committees. I get that. To me, you go after the running backs first, and there's plenty of talent at the wide receiver position. I've tried the wide receiver stronghold once, and it did not work out well for me. It seems like when I go strong running back, man, my team seemed to win leagues a lot stronger. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if Matt's okay with me going first, so the way I've been drafting this year, and what I've seen a lot of drafts, if I'm in that top 4 or 5 category and I can get like a Bijan, a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Saquon, a Christian McCaffrey, I'm fine starting heavy at running back. So I've had plenty of drafts where I'm going, either Bijan, Jahmyr, Saquon, and McCaffrey, and I'm coming back and I'm getting Chase Brown, who I think is going to be another smash. If I'm not getting Chase Brown, I know he's got the calf injury, but Devon Achane, he's a great runner-up. And then you've also got the likes of Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving. Like, you give me those 2 studs right there, and then the third round I can pivot and go for a onesie position, get a Lamar Jackson, or get a Trey McBride. And then in round 4, you're looking like guys at like T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, JSN, who slide into that 4th round. To me, that's a smash start. And then, for me, I can build a team based on the wide receivers and how much depth there are. And it also depends on your league too. Obviously, if you're getting into a league where you're starting, 3 wide receivers and then 2 flex spots, you might have to change up where you have to take a wide receiver a little bit earlier so you don't get kind of, boxed out of that position. But if you're going into a league, you got 2 wide receivers, you got 2 running backs, and then the flex position, and then whatever else sprinkled in. I love having that depth at running back, especially this year. With the new rookies that are coming in, you've got Omari and Hampton, you got Genty, you got all these guys who they're looking for. Travion Henderson's another one. There's plenty of middle round running backs right now that you can get away with as a second or third running back, and they're solid starts. So for me, from what I've noticed so far, I like going heavier on running back, and then if I have to, sprinkle it in here and there, I feel like I'm confident enough drafting where I can outdraft people and get value in certain spots that they might not, see the same value.
All right. Matt, I got one for you, Matt. What round? This is from Dave P. Dave P. What round do you target a tight end in a 12-man PPR league? What round do you go after your tight end?
Well, I've been taking a tight end normally after I've taken 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. So that's 6. And then normally I take a quarterback. So normally I guess round 8. Let's look who's going around round 8. Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Tyler Warren. No, that's just Evan Ingram and Njoku. Tyler Warren's going in the 9th round. But, I mean, it depends because there's certain guys I like to target. Like I said earlier, I really like Tyler Warren. So if I feel as if I'm not going to get Tyler Warren on the come around, then I'll take him there. If I want to take the risk and see if I can come, which I've done, see if I can get him back on the come around, then I'll take probably another receiver or running back, so I can, add more depth to my team.
All right, Jeff, I got one for you. This is a perfect question for you because you're a Giants fan. Who do you take? Who do you take first? Who do you like better, I should say? Tyrone Tracy or Cam Scatterbo?
Yeah, listen, Tyron Tracy, he had a great year last year. He came out of nowhere and kind of took the job from Singletary. But Scatterbo, I mean, just looking at the metrics, like a lot of people think he's slow. You got to watch the tape, though, man, because he's running in practice. Well, when he was practicing in the preseason, and in training camp, and he was running away from guys. I think Scatterbo, he's got it all. Like he can run the ball, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a hard hitting guy. Like he's going to look for contact. He's going to look to put players in the dirt. So if it's me, I think Scatterbo, if Tyrone does start with the job, I think Scatterbo by the end of the year will wrestle away the starting position from him. And again, I mean, I love the kid in college. I thought he was, he's the heart and soul of his team. He puts it all out in the field. And for Giants football, like to be physical, they want to run the ball. They want to make their defense, hopefully win games for them. And I think Scatterbo, once he's healthy and ready to go, he's going to be a big part of that for sure.
Yeah, I see that myself. I see Scatterbo. I really think he could take over that running back field. Might not be early because, man, Tracy, he just looks so darn good. But as soon as he puts the ball on the ground a few times, I think you'll see a little bit more Scatterbo. All right, Matt, I got a good one for you. Who do you like better? This is from Josh B. Austin Eckler or the running back Bill?
I'm taking Austin Eckler all day. Yeah, Bill. Listen, Bill Krosky or Bill Merritt, whatever you want to call him. He, as I said earlier, I'm not buying into the hype. I'm not, especially in redraft. In Dynasty, that's a different question. Maybe I'm a little interested. Like I said earlier, I would maybe take a 4th for him, but. In redraft, I think people are kind of doubting Eckler. I know that he's older, but he's still capable of running the ball and scoring fantasy points. Like I said earlier, there's also Chris Rodriguez there. I'm looking at where I have him ranked, but Eckler, still can play some ball. I mean, I don't think I really don't even think it's a contest. Honestly, I think I have Krosky Merritt at 46, which is not really that great, and then I have where do I have Eckler at? I have him at 35. So there you go. There's your answer.
All right, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, I'm going to go right to Jeff now. Jeff, what round do you target a kicker? This is from obviously a very new player, Jane C. Jane C. asked this question.
Yeah. So for me personally, I'm targeting the kicker very last round. It's a position that it just has ups and downs. It's full of a lot of volatility, and you really can't predict when your kicker's gonna have a great game or cost you the game. So for me, especially with defenses too, just because kicker and defense, they kind of go hand in hand. Usually, if you're playing with one, you're playing with the other. I do the same thing with defenses. The defenses, they change every year. So I try to just at the end of the year, I'll be dropping one defense to pick up another, and I kind of do the same thing with kickers. And if I could, in a perfect world, I'd make sure there's no kickers and no defenses in my leagues, but it happens.
Right. Well, duly noted, sir. All right, Matt. This is from Vince G. He wants to know, when is the best time to target a quarterback in a non-super flex league? 12 man.
Well, it depends on who you want. Basically, what I would tell you is there's a guy you want, and you need to go and find where that guy is going. Let's say it's between the 6th and 7th round. If you really want him, you're going to have to take him in the 6th round because that's the earliest he's going. Plain and simple. I think the best way to explain it is you got to go get your guys. I know certain players I want this year that I will not disclose at the moment, but I will say that I've been sniped. I haven't been able to get him because I was waiting and I was being more active in the draft and taking more wide receivers and running backs than even though I knew it was my time. I was like, okay, if I don't get him now, I might not get him, and of course I didn't get him, but that's okay. You always have a contingency plan when things like that happen. It's not the end of the world. There's other great guys that even though you don't get the number one guy, you can still get, plan B. So don't worry if you don't get your guy. But I would say it depends on who you want. If it's Josh Allen, I had some bad news for you. You're going to have to take him really early, which I don't think is worth it. But
he's going in like the 2nd or 3rd round.
Correct. And
that's crazy.
I'm not a big believer in drafting. I understand it. I totally understand it in some situations, but I just think that for me, I'm more comfortable taking quarterbacks at least I would say in between the 7th and maybe, I don't know, 7th and 8th round, maybe, depending on who you want. But I'm more of a believer in lower ADP guys that I think will completely outperform their ADP, which this happens every year. Quarterbacks are taken late, but then it's kind of funny because then everyone starts taking a quarterback within the same round. So then it's like, we all have the same plan. So then it's like, what are we doing? So just keep that in mind. Also know your league. If you want Joe Burrow and there's a guy that loves the Bengals in your league, make sure you take him before that guy. Like that.
I'm all about scoring points. So if you want to give me Joe Burrow,
well, listen. I think that leads me to the next question. What is your favorite fantasy stack of the year? Quarterback, receiver. Mine is going to have to be one of them. I should say one of them. The Brock Ness Monster and Ricky Pearsall. Love that stack. I think it's a great schedule, and I think Pearsall is going to have a monster year, and Brock he's awesome. What do you guys say? What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, if I'm going to go with a stack that I've done a lot of best ball drafts. I consistently am getting Dak and George or Dak and CD. It's always there for me. I'm looking, if, especially in that first round, if I'm getting picked early, I'm picking up CD. And if I'm not, if I'm drafting later and I'm getting another guy, I'm still trying to get George in that 5th, 6th round, and then make sure I get Dak later, in like around the 10th, the 11th. For me, I'm all in on that offense. If Dak is healthy, I think he's going to throw the heck out of the ball. But how about you, Matt?
I mean, the obvious is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? I mean, They scored way too many points last year. It's kind of crazy. Other than that, I would say as much. I honestly couldn't tell you if I've drafted this per se in a best ball, but I'm going to say Drake London and Michael Penix Jr. I think that is a great stack to have this season. I'm a big fan of Penix on the year. I feel like I don't know what it is. I feel like I really haven't been hearing his name on a fantasy podcast this season. So, I'm a truther for Penix. I think he has a good second year for the Falcons.
I got one last question. This is for you guys. What are your draft day must-haves? Draft day must-haves.
I'll start this one out. I mean, wow. Must-haves, a guy that I'm trying to leave the draft without. I have to have him as Josh Jacobs. I'm a big fan of Josh Jacobs this season. I have him as the RB1. I think he's going to blow people's minds. I think he's going to shock people. I think he could have a Saquon Barkley type season. Listen, as much as we keep talking about these Packers and Jalen Reed, whatever you want to call them, they're going to have to run the ball.
Jaden, Matt. Jaden.
Yeah. Whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I don't know where they call them, where you're from, but I think they're going to have to run the ball a lot because I think Jordan Love's not going to, I think with what's going on there with that wide receiver room, yes, I think Matthew Golden will have a great year. I think Tucker Kraft will have a great year. However, I think this might be a team with some drop issues, honestly. So I will not be surprised if Josh Jacobs just becomes an alpha and goes crazy. So I love Josh Jacobs this season.
I mean, if I had to go with one guy, especially someone who I've just been getting, Emeka Egbuka, I honestly think he's going to surprise a lot of people. A lot of analysts were saying he was the most ready-made wide receiver out the gate, and that's including the likes of Travis Hunter and Ted McMillan. Godwin. Good news for Godwin. He's apparently not going to be on the pup, but I don't trust that ankle right now. I think he's going to need time to ramp up, especially because he hasn't been doing anything in training camp or the preseason. Mike Evans is 32 years old. I love me some Mike Evans, but I think Egbuka has a real shot to do some damage. And then obviously, like I've been saying last week as well, the rookies only get better as the season goes on. The more comfortable they get, the more the coaching staff starts to believe in them. I think for a 7th round pick, I love him as a dart throw. He's a 7th round pick, but if he turns out to be a 3rd round, 4th round value, then to me that's huge.
Guys, I went in a little different direction than you guys. My draft day must-have is going to be an ice cold beer, some hot wings, and probably Chase Brown. I think he's a beast. I think he has a monster year. Well, that's all the questions I have for you guys. We'll keep them coming in. Next week, obviously, is the big Stardom and Sid'em week. We finally get ready for week 1. This week is about getting you ready for your draft, and I think hopefully the answers to these questions and the guys gave really should help everyone have a successful draft.
All right, since we are running out of time, I will go on my spiel here with some other draft strategies instead of questions. Let's start with what I was saying earlier, get your guys. What we mean by saying get your guy is to go into drafts With 5 to 7 guys, you don't want to leave the draft without. These are players you're willing to draft no matter what. If you reach for them around early, that's okay. You're making sure you get them rostered on your team instead of someone else's. I hate being the guy where I hate not getting my guy. I think everyone does this, especially when you're sniped to the pick right before. It's the worst. But what's really frustrating is when it comes down to week 3 and you're like, oh, there he is. I'm playing against him, and he's about to score a 40 burger on me, and he does. And you're like, man, that was my guy. Go get your guy. Another thing is to go and follow the money. There was a lot of different players going to different teams this year. I'm going to list off several. Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, T. Higgins, Devonta Adams, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Josh Palmer, Darius Slayton, Juwan Johnson, Evan Ingram, Mike Gesicki. Those are guys that just got the bag, and that means that they're probably going to play some football. They're going to show and prove that they earned that money. So, as they say in the fantasy football community, follow the money. The third little tip or strategy is diversify your teams. If you're playing in multiple fantasy football leagues this year, you're going to want to take different players to help give yourself better chances to win. Having different shares of players you like will help you during the season. That way you're not rooting for the same players each week. I like to think of it like there's so many players I think we all love that every season, and after a draft you're like, man, I didn't get that guy even though I really love him, but I really love this guy more. That's why I drafted him. That's why go and play in as many leagues as you think is right, and go draft the other guys that you just didn't get. So that's the right way to do it. All right. Do you guys have anything before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to go over was, just a couple other, players to mention, guys that are good to target. Devonta Adams, talking about draft strategies, if you go really heavy running back early, I'm finding even if you took 3 running backs, 1, 2, 3, the 4th pick could be Devonta Adams, which would be a great number 1 for you starting out in your draft. Waiting late on the quarterback, we kind of already talked about that, but Jordan Love in the 12th round. Guess who you can get in the 14th round? J.J. McCarthy. I get it. He's a rookie, but he's in a great offensive system. And this head coach knows how to put guys in positions to do really good things. So J.J. McCarthy is a guy you might want to look for. I'm also leaning heavy towards Braylon Allen. The whole talk about Breece Hall possibly getting traded has me thinking Braylon Allen could be the guy. The coach loves Braylon Allen. That's more of his guy than seems like Breece Hall. So there's a guy you could probably get as your 4th. I'm finding like your 4th or even 5th running back. It's not a bad idea to take a flyer on this guy who can end up putting up number 1 numbers for you. So just a few guys that you might want to consider targeting late in the drafts that maybe aren't so obvious.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to add anything, it's just to be flexible in your drafts. I mean, go in with a game plan, sure. Go in with your guys. But if you're finding that, you were trying to take running backs early and then all the running backs or all the wide receivers are coming off the board, you don't want to be left with nothing. So just be flexible, and have fun. At the end of the day, yeah, we want to win, but, have fun. They're supposed to enjoy it. And good luck to everyone this week who's doing their drafts, for sure.
All right, I think that's going to do it. You're listening to us on Cruiser 92.1 WVLT Vineland. Thank you all so much for listening. We will be back next week on YouTube Tuesday night, 8 p.m. live, and on Wednesday on Cruiser 92.1 WVLT Vineland at 5 p.m. Good luck in your drafts. We'll be ready for week 1, gentlemen. Very exciting.
Good luck, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Let's go.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at KAF Football.